Hey guys, welcome to Barside Jive. We are we are live. We are alive.
Are we alive?
We're alive. We're alive and we're alive at AJ's Bar, located at 651 South Main Street in historic downtown Grapevine, Texas. And guess who popped in to see me today?
Hello. What's up, DC?
Michelle Johnson.
It's me.
Michelle Johnson popped in just to say hello, and we're glad she's here. So we'll continue to do our thing here. Yeah, happy Monday.
Good to see you.
Cheers. Yeah, it's good seeing you.
It's been like over a year since I saw your face in
Has
person.
it really?
Yeah.
Gosh, boy, you've been lucky. Hey, looks like they brought friends today.
Friends?
Yeah, I see some people that came and they're watching today, and that's awesome because we like big groups. AJ loves big parties. AJ actually is not here today. He is, I don't know. He's always got an excuse. Actually, he was here last week, I think. So, but Michelle's gonna take AJ's chair, so it's all good. Oh, I need to talk about my featured guest. My featured guest today is Ric Lee. That's right, guys. Ric Lee from 10 Years After. He is an English rock drummer, best known as founding member and drummer of the 1960s English blues rock band 10 Years After. Between 1968, about the time you were born, and 1973.
That was before my time.
Was it?
I was born in 69.
Close.
Yeah, there's a lot of good music back then.
Close. Oh, yeah, it was primo years. So between 68 and 73, 10 Years After scored 8 top 40 albums on the UK albums chart. In addition, they had 12 albums enter the US Billboard 200. They are best known for tracks such as I'm Going Home, Hear Me Calling, I'd Love to Change the World, and Love Like a Man. 10 Years After, with Lee keeping the beat, which he did behind his kit, played at rock festivals including Woodstock in 1969 and the Isle of Wight Festival on August 29th of 1970, as well as appearances at the Newport Jazz Festival, the Miami, Atlanta, and Texas pop festivals. Wow. The dude played Woodstock 69.
Oh,
He was
I wish I could
there.
have gone to that.
Yeah,
I was busy
really.
being born.
Yeah, you were. Well, Rick recently penned a new memoir called From Headstocks to Woodstock, focusing on his long music career, including his adventures with the famous UK blues rock band 10 Years After.
Cool.
The 448-page autobiography is available now exclusively from Lee's official website, which is rickleetya.com. If you didn't get it that first time, I'll say it again. rickleetya.com. And here he is now.
Hi, this is Ric Lee, drummer of 10 Years After, and you're watching DC's Barside Jive.
Thanks, Rick. We definitely appreciate it. Well, guys, ladies, today we are drinking, since AJ's not here, we are drinking Adios Pantalones.
Mine looks better than yours, different than yours.
It's the same.
It's the same thing?
It's the same.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's glass number 2 for ODC. Adios.
There's a lot of nutrients in that.
Pantalones. Yes, a lot of nutrients. Beer is very healthy for you. In fact, I've got a whole list of healthy benefits.
Have you heard of the people that work out, they go on bike rides and runs and stuff, and they drink beer?
Yes.
To replenish?
Yes. In fact, that's on one of our, that sport is upcoming one of our shows. We have a sports section, which you probably don't know.
Really?
But yeah. So it will be one of the future events we're going to have on the show. Let's see, where are we? I get so sidetracked. Oh, in addition to my, this is about the time of the show I usually go, AJ, we're going to do any shots? So he gets up and gives us a shot. In addition to my guest segment, which comes later in the show, I've got that unconventional news, non-traditional weather, unheard of sports, and traffic that's sure to make you go, what the hell did I just see? Delivered with that edginess and rawness you crave, but you won't get from those imbeciles at the regular news outlets. All that one-sided propaganda. Some of our stuff is satire with a thread of truthism thrown in, but hey, what's the difference in us and them, except we're a hell of a lot more fun, and we're at a bar, and it's all good. So hang on, you do not want to miss a thing. Oh, and be sure to stick around to the very end of the show, because we always stick something special at the butt end of the show. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I've got some totally useless information, Michelle. Did you know that the average person has 4 to 6 dreams a night?
I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No.
Yeah, 4 to 6 dreams a night. That's the average person. If you're over 10 years old, you likely have around 4 to 6 dreams every single night, according to the National Sleep Foundation. And according to a 2003 study published by the Association for the Study of Dreams, the most common dreams include being chased or pursued, falling, school and studying, and sexual experiences. I mean, two out of 4 ain't
Well,
bad.
the one about school is terrifying.
I don't ever
I
have
can't
that.
stand that where you're naked at school.
I never had that.
I've had that one.
No, I never had
You're back
naked
at
at
school and you're just like, what the hell am I doing here?
No, I never experienced the naked at school. I did experience naked in the woods being chased by a bear.
Oh no.
Yeah, I did. Oh, you are? Yeah, we're close. I did experience that, and I've been known from time to time to experience the sexual dream, but
Never.
yeah. So that's my dream.
That's the facts.
Yes,
That's the facts, Jack.
That's the facts. Hey, if you want to share your dreams with us, you want to make them public, or maybe it's your birthday, you can give us a call on the bar phone. AJ's not here to answer it, but still, it's 469-844-1631, just because we care. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel. Just search Barside Jive Live at youtube.com and click that subscribe button, and then click that little bitty bell to receive notifications when I post something new. That's right. Oh, man, and now I got an important PSA. You know, we have to do these PSAs from our friends over at, the Atlanta Genital Institute.
They're
Your testicles and you. Take a good look. These are the unlucky ones. These unfortunate souls are suffering from ESS, enlarged scrotum syndrome. Here at the Atlanta Genital Institute, teams of doctors are at work around the clock to cure this dreaded affliction. Hi, I'm Dr. Zillman, and I'd like to talk to you about your testes. The human testicle is not unlike a balloon. Sometimes it is empty. And sometimes it is full. And sometimes, maybe this will help you understand. Just remember that your testicles, when treated with love and care, will give you years of maintenance-free service. But if abused, well, the inevitable conclusion. So next time, do the smart thing. Don't let anything come between your testicles and you. Thank you.
So, all right, Miss COVID.
I'm not.
We're doing a pickle shot here on behalf of AJ.
Pickle shot.
Yeah, we're doing a pickle shot. Here we go.
Okay. Here we go.
Cheers.
Pre-workout. That's some nasty, nasty stuff.
That's good stuff, man.
Kevin would like that.
Would he?
He goes to the refrigerator. Woo! And he gets this pickle juice and he just downs it. And you know, I heard somebody tell. Hey, are you gonna get in?
You gotta get in frame. I only seen half your head.
Somebody told me that pickle juice will mask over a like when you're getting screened for marijuana.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's spicy pickle juice.
Lord.
It's got like 8 different peppers in it.
You know, it's really not that bad.
No, it's good. I
but
love
it's
it.
salty.
I love it. You know, that PSA made me want to cough for some reason. I don't know why. But
Well,
speaking
of testicles.
Speaking of testicles, did you know when a male honeybee climaxes during sex, his testicles actually explode, and then he dies?
A honeybee?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they seem so sweet.
You didn't
It's
know
too
that?
bad. No.
Mm-hmm. Gives a new meaning to busting a nut.
That's funny.
Oh, it's time again for that segment with all those big ass raving reviews. Our breaking freaking news, guys. It is time. Our top news story straight in from the Barside Jive news desk. Blockage cleared
Oh, good.
at the Suez Canal thanks to Chick-fil-A employees.
Oh, man, they're so handy.
They are handy people. Egypt. When the massive shipping container vessel, the Ever Given, got stuck, authorities had no idea how they were going to free it and get traffic moving again through the Suez Canal. But then one of them came up with this brilliant idea. He called Chick-fil-A headquarters in America to ask if they'd loan them a few drive-thru workers to help them out. Chick-fil-A, of course, was pleased to lend some helping hands. The employees sprinted to the airport and jumped on the next plane bound for Egypt. When they arrived, they rushed to tame some wild camels that took them across the desert to the location of the blockage. Hi, how can we help you today? Said Kyle Barton, a head drive-through manager, as he arrived. Oh, golly gee, it looks like you got a real jam there. Well, we're on it. The Chick-fil-A workers got to work humming praise songs as they worked and got the ship unstuck in no time. Then they worked with Suez Canal authorities to streamline the process of moving ships through the canal, identifying hundreds of inefficiencies and ways to improve the customer experience of shipping containers through the important trade route, or route.
I'd say route. Because a root reminds me of a plant.
True. Now, according to sources, every ship captain and crew member will receive a complimentary chicken sandwich and large waffle fry, frozen lemonade as well at the end of their journey. How about that for Chick-fil-A? I remember when they were just a nobody at the mall.
They're such a somebody, I can't even get through the line.
Oh no, you don't even, no, especially, lunch any day except Sunday. Sunday's little wait's not bad at all.
Yeah, it is. You wait for like 24 hours until they open again.
Oh shit, I interrupted our story.
Oh.
It's my pleasure, said Barton as he whistled for his crew and they took off back to America. Oh, I learned this the other day at Chick-fil-A. Did you know that you can ask for your fries to be more done?
Like crispy, if you want.
Yeah. Because, they're always kind of almost on the undercooked side for me. And I like things like blackened. So I asked them, and they said, yeah, just tell us you want them more done. And they came out and they were just perfect.
Kind of crispy.
Yeah, they're perfect. So you can do that at Chick-fil-A. It's really cool. And there's not a secret code word you got to give them like at that burger place. What's that burger place?
Oh, that In-N-Out burger?
Yeah.
Like when you want it animal style?
Yeah, animal style. You got to know the secret word to get it special. Well, at Chick-fil-A, you don't got to do that. You just tell them, hey, I want a little more done. They go, cool. They've even got a little menu out on. The guy showed me on his iPad. It's pretty cool.
I like protein style. That's the one without the bread.
Oh, yeah. I don't eat it in and out. It's too confusing. You got to know all the secret words. Okay, are we moving on? Are we moving closer to consensus that all lives do matter? And straight out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, Michelle, according to sources, some residents of a local upper-class suburb have accumulated Black Lives Matter. Is something burning?
I don't smell anything burning. It's your feet.
It smells like some Hispanic lives matter, and now Asian lives matter signs in their perfectly manicured front yards. We have a photo.
Well, that's cool.
Experts warn, however, that with the addition of more people groups every day, they are getting dangerously close to saying all lives matter, which we know is a big problem. We need to guard against this, said local sociology professor Dr. Cam Duncantilly, as she added a Trans Lives Matter and Indigenous Lives Matter sign in her front yard. We have to make sure that as we add more minorities, we stop short of the damnable heresy of all lives matter. Some scientists have warned that affluent white suburbanites could run out of lawn space for all of these signs very soon.
Yeah.
Limited space is a growing concern, said Duncan Tilley, who also identifies as a scientist. Thankfully, a solution has been proposed to help cut down on yard signage. Many have discovered that they can get the same message across by simply putting up a single sign that says, "White dudes' lives don't matter." And also in the news,
and here we go.
Biden proves healthy cognition by flawlessly reciting all the sounds animals can make. This is true, guys. Wilmington, Delaware is the place, with citizens and a couple of non-mainstream media figures questioning Joe Biden's mental fitness to be president after he stumbled through his first press briefing since taking office and only calling on a pre-selected list of friendly reporters. Biden took to the internet yesterday to shut down all the naysayers once and for all. On a live video from his basement, Biden held up a Fisher-Price CNC and flawlessly recited all the sounds animals can make. My memory cognitives are perfect. They're perfect, Biden insisted. If my brain is no anymore not work, could I do this? Biden then began to go through all the common farm animals and the sounds they make, starting with cow, which says moo. He got into a little trouble with the chicken, which he thought said quack. But after some help from his aides and some of his allies in mainstream media, he got back on track. So after reciting all of the animal sounds almost perfectly, Biden smiled smugly and repeated a line that he read from his notes during his first press conference. So, the best way to get something done, if you hold it near and dear to you, that you like to be able to. Anyway, we're ready to get a lot done.
That's about as exciting as I don't know what.
The feed was then cut abruptly. But after the video, CNN praised Biden's performance and reported an immediate 382% increase in Biden's poll numbers.
Amazing. Oh, look. He does have it. That is what it is.
What?
The playtail thingy.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, But yours, but the old school one is you pull the string.
Yeah.
This one's just got a lever.
This is
The
like new age.
The new age, yeah, it's got a lever. Yeah. And guys, our trending news items segment is brought to you by our friends over at Body Action Products.
Yeah.
Body Action Anal Bleach Gel is a super concentrated intimate area skin lightening gel. It is formulated to help improve the appearance of uneven skin tone and diminish discolored areas of the skin. It's ideal for the anal, vaginal, penis, scrotum, nipples, dark underarms, and all other intimate area skin lightening needs. For your asshole, for that asshole in your life that just needs to lighten the fuck up.
Hey, I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah. Bleach?
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of into hair, so bleaching is probably right up your alley. So trending nationally, QAnon claims Trump will make his move to unseat Biden very soon. Biden can't remember who he put in charge of his office reminders. Service stations begin widening signs in preparation for higher gas prices. And trending locally, woman sues doctor for $2 million after he accidentally performed circumcision on her large clitoris.
Oh.
Well, guys, there you have it. I think it's time for some rock and roll history. Okay, it's March 29th, and here are some reasons why this day matters in rock history. 1975 was the year. Led Zeppelin, my favorite band ever, saw all 6 of their albums in the top 100 in the same week. Whoa. Their latest record, Physical Graffiti, topped the chart. That's pretty amazing. In 1986, Austrian singer Falco started a 3-week run at number 1 on the singles chart with Rock Me Amadeus, making him the first German-speaking artist with a U.S. number 1. All right, the year's 2007. Bono, baby, accepted an honorary knighthood at a ceremony in Dublin, Ireland. It's Fat Jack. It's a fat
Bono's a pretty
shell.
cool dude. I've seen him live.
Who?
Bono.
Have you?
Yeah, I saw U2 live at the convention center in Dallas before it was turned down. Reunion before it was torn down, and it was really great.
Yeah, I was glad you didn't say convention center because now it's full of illegals.
Yeah.
Illegal males.
May or may not have COVID.
15 and 17 years old may or may not have COVID. They said actually about 25% of them do. But anyway. Okay.
I can say a lot of stuff
News
about
is
that,
over.
I can say a lot of stuff about that. But I'm going to keep it positive.
I
Happy
know.
Monday about it.
Keep it positive. Hey guys, in 1980, Pink freaking Floyd broke a record for most weeks on the album chart when The Dark Side of the Moon spent its 303rd week, 303rd, seriously, on the Billboard 200. The record was previously held by Carole King's 1971 LP, Tapestry.
Oh, all the psychedelic lovers of that era decided they were going to hang on to that Pink Floyd trip.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
Pink
they
Floyd.
did.
Did you get to see Pink Floyd in there?
No, I didn't.
Ever?
No, I didn't. No. You know, Pink Floyd was never one of my...
I think I saw the Animals tour, but I don't remember.
I didn't see it intentionally. But hey, yeah, everybody has different tastes. In 1987, Starship, the band, hit Nothing Gonna Stop Us Now, topped the singles chart for all you Starship fans. And in 2005, Neil Young had brain surgery after he suffered an aneurysm.
The grandfather of grunge survived an aneurysm.
He did.
Bless his heart. He's awesome.
He's still surviving. Okay, let's see. And in 1967, AJ's favorite band, the Beatles. Those guys worked at Abbey Road Studios on a song called Bad Finger Boogie, which would go on to be renamed With a Little Help from My Friends. Bet you didn't know that, did you? Bet you didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that.
Well, that'll wrap my daily dose of rock history, which means it's time for... And coming clean. I've got a coming clean message from Dr. Anthony Fauci himself. I'll be honest with you. I'm making this up as I go. We know that, dude. We know that. We know you've been making that crap up. Such a liar. And there you have it, guys. What do you say we do some sports, Michelle?
Do it.
Sports.
Do it.
Are you taller than me?
If I took my shoes off, I'd probably be shorter.
We don't. You don't like to, you actually don't have to put your hand over there because there's no flag.
Oh.
I mean,
I'm a good patriot.
You can if you want. It's up to you.
Well, no, if I don't have to, I won't.
Wait a minute. Are we playing the song?
I don't hear it.
Anyway, let's go to our Middle East sports guy, Abdul Smith, who is ringside at a Buzkashi competition somewhere in Afghanistan.
Buzkashi, Central Asian game, very popular. You play with a dead goat carcass. They say it can weigh up to 99 pounds. If you're wondering if that was a drone flying in the air, it was. If you're wondering if there have drones flying, but they're still using dead goats as the ball, they are. They very much are. You go on horseback, you take the goat, and you try to put it in this giant hole. This is a very formal game. There's informal games where there's no boundaries. Let's just gonna need to get that one in the hole. Oh my God, I'm dead. I just died, and we didn't score. What a bummer. Here we go. Nice and easy. Red person puts it in the hole. Opponent falls in the hole with the goat carcass. That's a shitty way to lose. Number 5 is going to come up here and get a good block. Let number 6 take the goat, put it in the hole, score a goal. They're excited. What a sport, huh? What a wild sport. They said it originated because tribes would go steal other tribes' goats and then ride away, and then they would get chased. Like, give us our goat back, and they're like, yo, that's pretty fun, all this goat stealing we do. Let's turn it into a game. This dude's got an open lane. He's got to turn this guy. Ooh. Nice little move. Turns that guy around. Gets the goat right in that giant hole. Goes for a fun ride himself. Fist pump. I love how universal the fist pump is. Okay, let's pick up this goat. Oh, shit. Now we're just trampling the goat. Seems kind of fucked up, but here we go. Oh, did I mention the goat's headless? They cut the goat's head and feet off. Not sure how that makes the gameplay any different, but they do it. Bam! 1 point for that team. All right, this guy on the left here, he's got nice and easy. Just put this in. No, wait, I think I'll just die instead of scoring. Goat in, horse backs out. Not interested. All right, number 4 in blue, nice easy target. bummer, dude. Terrible goat fall. Oh my God, this guy's getting his red pollard on, getting dragged around. That's pretty scary. Oh, I see you're interested in picking that up. You interested in dying? Boom. Crushed. Next up, nice and easy, in the hole, Buzkashi. What a sport.
Okay, so that last dude, he really knew how to do it. Guys, and just when you thought you had seen everything, not even close. Oh, by the way, Buzkashi is the national sport in Afghanistan.
Those guys are crazy.
Go figure. Yeah, it's kind of cool though. Huh? Oh, and now a word from Foghat Sellers.
Hi DC, thanks for having us on your show. And for you folks, I'm Roger of the band Foghat, and these are our wines. Foghat Cellars. This is a Chardonnay from Monterey County, absolutely delicious, 2014. We have 2013 Pinot Noir from Monterey County. It's absolutely fabulous, a wonderful drinking wine. If you like Pinots, you'll love it. This is a Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles. All our wines come from Central Coast of California. Steve Rasmussen is our winemaker, though in fact myself and Linda actually get involved in the making of some of our wines. Drink, enjoy, go to foghatcellars.com to find out how to get them. Thanks, bye.
And if you use the coupon code Barside Jive at the checkout screen, you will get 20% off your purchase. That's right, guys, 20, not 10, but 20%. Pretty major. And you can even get an autographed bottle by drummer Roger Earl, the only remaining member of that classic lineup. So order your bottle today. That's right, guys. foghatcellars.com. Michelle, I'm so happy you stopped by.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
So, COVID's like about over,
it's a bad word.
And I know it's about over, and everybody's getting back to playing and singing and doing all these the gigs locally, and so I guess you guys are getting out there.
Yeah.
What's your schedule look like?
I've got a lot of stuff going on, DC. First,
Tell me about it.
Well, first off, you know, the mighty Blonde Sabbath tribute to Black Sabbath. We are playing Gas Monkey.
Oh, cool.
The Gas Monkey Bar and Grill on the outside stage, of course.
Nice.
Because the sun's shining again. They've got it all opened up. And that's going to be on April 9th.
April 9th.
And we'll be...
2 days before my birthday.
Ooh, you should come out.
I should.
We'll get you a special table.
Oh,
right up
shucks.
close in front.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, we'll be playing with Walk in the Shadows, which are my brothers in rock and roll. That's the Queensryche tribute.
Cool.
And so that's going to be a great night.
Yeah.
You know, we have Bill Ingfer, Taylor. Dennis is going to be on bass. Of course, Bill Ingfer is our Tony Iommi.
Mm-hmm.
And then our geezer butler for that show is going to be Taylor. And then our billboard is Dan Muchler, who I've been playing with for over 16 years. I mean, almost 17 years of a friendship and a colleague in the music business.
Yeah.
And he recorded the MJB albums that we
Really?
have. Yeah, I've got 2 out. We had one in the making, and the band sort of took a big break, but we're back together. as
Cool.
a new project. You know, people call and they want MJB. Well, we'll give them MJB, right?
Right,
That's
absolutely.
the classic Michelle Johnson band sound.
Right.
Kevin Shumway is in the band. We have a new guy on the scene, John Banks. He's a really cool bass player dude. And right now we're doing a new project. This is an acoustic style project, and it's called Orange Sunshine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Orange
Sunshine.
That's really cool.
So we kind of want to put the MJB on this classic back burner.
Mm-hmm.
And people want to hear us, we'll be there for you. We'll play all of the MJB you want. But the new songs are really cool. Laid back, rock and roll, just an American rock band thing, but edging toward the metal side.
Mm.
But then we have like that classic feel of the 70s too, like an Aerosmith sort of a thing. So it's really cool. I'm enjoying being creative and writing for that. And we'll be at the Mill House Pizza in Garland. Have you been there?
Nope.
It's pretty cool. They have this really warm stage, and they're trying to get a rock thing going on. So on May 8th,
Where are they at?
in Garland, in the downtown Garland
Downtown?
Square.
Okay.
It's a Mill House Pizza. Gotta check it out.
Yeah.
May 8th, we'll have the MJB extravaganza, and then toward the end of that show, we'll like unveil the new songs from Orange Sunshine. And we're also going to
Cool.
debut at the first part of that show, most likely, my new tribute.
Uh-oh.
And it's a no-brainer. It's a Stevie Nicks tribute.
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool.
We're going to call it White Witch Wonderland, which I think it'll be a neat,
Yeah.
it'll be a neat escape, an enchanted escape of Stevie and her music.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, you'll
so-
be able to nail that.
yeah, I mean, I've, obviously, if you're an MJB fan or if you're new to the scene, I've done Stevie Nicks tribute in my own right with, a few covers in my set, but
Right.
we're going to actually dedicate a whole set to her and maybe throw in some Fleetwood Mac and some of the Tom Petty stuff she did and, just sort of a genre of the music of Stevie Nicks.
That's really cool. That'll be cool.
I think it'll be cool.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you'll see us around town. You'll see us around the Metroplex over the summer.
Right. Well, support these guys.
Thank you.
You got a Facebook page or website, or where do you send them? For like your schedule and all that stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm Michelle Johnson. Just Michelle Johnson, and that's probably the best way to get in touch with me. But Blonde Sabbath, come check out our website. Now, it's almost up. blondesabbath.com. And that's gonna be artmusicair.com. That's gonna be focusing on all different parts and aspects of what Blonde Sabbath is. Blonde Sabbath DC it's not just the name of our Black Sabbath tribute band anymore. It's a concept.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Blonde Sabbath Nation.
Wow. It's a nation. It's an army.
Yeah. So anyway, that'll have a lot of stuff. It'll have more than just our band.
Well, that's
It'll
cool.
have other local band calendars and
Very cool.
local artists, painters, and dancers, and whatever stuff's going on.
It's a movement.
It's a movement. Yeah.
It's a network.
It's a concept.
Sounds great. I'm glad you stopped by today. I had no idea you were coming, and I'm so excited. It's always just tickles me when people just drop in. It's kind of like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Yeah.
I was hoping I'd see some rock stars here, but
Well,
evidently I'm
they're
the
all-
only one.
Yeah, they're all under
No, I'm just kidding.
COVID control still.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But
Well, I'm
hey,
glad you're still.
The rock star's here, right here.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But I'm glad to see you too, DC. You're my
Well,
friend.
Yes, absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely. We are. Well, what do you think?
Time for some weather.
It is time.
It's clear.
Okay, it is time for that grapevine weather from your Barside Jive Global Weather Center, where we try to stick to current weather since forecasts are always so freaking wrong. Here we go. Local AJ's weather is currently clear and bright. 68 degrees, looking pretty good out there. Today's high is 76 with a 0% chance of rain. Air quality is good. Wind is out of the south at 16 miles per hour. Humidity is pretty low at 38%. Cold.
And the allergies kind of got to him.
And the sun will set at 7:46 p.m., AJ. 7:46 p.m. We're almost at that 8 o'clock mark. Oh, by the way, the moon phase is waning gibbous for all you nerds out there that like to keep up with that crap. I still don't know what that means, but
I love
anyway.
the moon. I love keeping up with the moon, the full moon.
The moon phases?
It's fun. We
I
just
don't
got through with
understand
the worm moon.
I don't understand it. So let's just go to Ashby, out and about in London for a closer look at weather conditions there. Oops, that wasn't Ashby. Okay, so let's go to Ashby, out there, out and about.
Plenty of scattered shares in the mix. We'll have full details on that. All the latest traffic to help you avoid those hotspots this Friday morning, plus lots of your photos. Put a bit of smoke in your back.
Seems a little windy over there across the pond. Hey, what did the tree say to the wind?
I don't know.
You don't know? Yeah, I do. Leave me alone. And that's your global weather from your Barside Jive meteorologist? Kinda. Here at Barside Jive. Our weather was brought to you by our friends over at Monolith Productions.
Today, Brian. Not today, Brian. Not today, Brian.
Not today, Threk. Not today.
Shadow of War. Nothing will be forgotten.
Okay, let's take a quick look at traffic. Well, how's it look out there on South Main Street today, AJ? Well, how's it look out there on Main Street today, Michelle?
Well, it looks pretty cool.
You seen cars?
I see a few cars going by and a couple of chickens.
Couple of chickens, that's what we're talking about. You're back on that see and say.
Did you know chickens float like a duck in the water?
They what?
They float like a duck in the water.
Chickens?
In the water? Give them a chicken bath.
I've never seen a chicken in the water. Only like after they're dead.
I don't think they do it like
on purpose.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I got a good idea. Let's just go to Louisville, Kentucky, where we can have a citizen reporter on the scene of a multi-car accident. I believe his name is Roy Fitzgerald. Okay, Mr. Fitzgerald, what can you tell us?
Somebody had to be drinking and driving. Look at this here. Look at this here. This is why you do that. Drink and drive. Look at that. You see? Looks like they hit this motherfucker. Bounced off this motherfucker. Made it hit this motherfucker. Put half the engine. Put the engine back in this motherfucker. Swiped the side of this motherfucker. Half the fucking cars underneath of this motherfucker. Which end up pushing this motherfucker into this motherfucker. Steal more car parts and tore off the window and the mirror on this motherfucker. It looks like he came back, got control for a second, and then hit this motherfucker. Pulled it back onto the street. Came back while he was at it. I don't know where the fuck that came from. Hit this motherfucker. Followed the trail, swerved around, slammed that motherfucker into that motherfucker. Swerved around. Looks like he sideswiped this motherfucker right here on his way out the motherfucker. And you can see the trail of I'm assuming this is, I mean, I know it's got to be an oil type for it to still be here. But damn. Nip this motherfucker right here while he was at it. Wasn't done. Knocked the bump off that motherfucker. Managed to gain control. I wonder what the fucking car looks like. Good God. Do not drink and drive. You will fuck up a whole bunch of people's morning and shit. There's around 8 motherfuckers that's gonna come out this joint and be so fucked up at that motherfucker. Be safe out there. There's some idiots out there.
Well, Fitzgerald, we appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, that reminds me of a joke. So Patty and Seamus work at the Guinness factory. And Seamus has a horrible accident and dies at work. So Patty agrees to tell Seamus's wife the bad news. So he knocks on the door and Seamus's wife answers. She says, what's happened, Patty? Patty kind of frowns. I'm sorry to say that poor Seamus fell into the Guinness vat and he drowned. He drowned. I'm so sorry. So she started to cry and she asked Patty, well, did he at least die quickly? Seamus shook his head. No, he actually got out 3 times to pee. So that'll bring.
At least he got out of there, right?
He did. He did.
He had a good time.
He had a good time. He had a good time. That'll bring us up to our featured guest segment, which is sponsored by Hip and Hippie. Hip and Hippie is a planet-loving company known for its high-quality, earth-friendly, 100% recyclable candle line and those natural body care products. It's what keep me looking so good. It's no wonder eco-supporting people love Hip and Hippie. hipandhippie.com. As I mentioned earlier today, my featured guest is English rock drummer. That would be Ric Lee, best known as a member of rock band 10 Years After. So I will be right back.
Heard you say I'm better off dead. I need you like a hole in my head, oh yeah. You like a you and I like a meat. Got my pride, but a man's gotta eat, oh yeah.
I'm in a bar. I'm in a bar. So cheers.
Cheers, mate. I'm on water right now. Cheers. Because it's only 2 o'clock here, so a bit early for drinking.
All right. Guys, welcome back to Barside Jive. It is that time where I introduce my guest, and today it is Ric Lee, best known as drummer of the English blues rock band 10 Years After. Ric, it's so awesome having you here today.
It's awesome being here, DC.
Well, thank you.
To meet you.
Yes, sir. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while. So we've talked a little bit about where you live, but you grew up in Mansfield, Nottinghamshire, England, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, at one time, it's not there now really, but it sat on the Nottinghamshire coalfield. Where we got all the coal for fuel and whatever for power in the old. And with about I don't know, 5, 6, 7 maybe miles from my house was a place called Clipston, and that had a big colliery there where the miners went down into the ground and pulled out the coal. It was a hell of a dirty job. A lot of them died actually in the early days because of breathing difficulties from the coal dust and everything. They were working in tunnels which were probably, well, you couldn't stand up in them, put it that way. Everything, they were basically done either sitting down on a little trolley that ran on wheels, or they were kneeling and then hacking away at the coal seams. And sometimes they had to use explosives down there to try and find a new seam and blast away the rock. And that was incredibly dangerous because the tunnels were so small that, of course, it's like the barrel of a rifle. When, if you fire a bullet out of there, it comes out at a hell of a rate of knots because the aperture is so small. Mm-hmm. And it was the same when they were setting off the explosives to create new mine shafts. And there were, we're talking thousands, in some cases a mile or so down below the Earth's surface, So if anything went wrong, there was no way those guys could get out. It was a very dangerous job. And luckily, I never had to do that. My father didn't do that either.
Oh, he didn't? Okay.
No, thank God. Yeah. But I had friends whose fathers worked down the mines. A lot of them were survived. They survived. They did well. But it was every day would be a risk. Right.
Well, let's see how good my geography is.
Okay.
So London is here.
Yep.
Liverpool is here.
Yep.
And you were born and raised right there.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. In fact, probably the easiest way is if you take a line from Manchester across the country to Sheffield. So you're going east from Manchester to Sheffield.
Right.
And then if you go basically more or less due south by about an hour and a half, you get to Mansfield.
Okay, gotcha. So, but you're closer to Liverpool than you are to London.
I am now where I live, yeah. But I'm guessing, I'm not good at this either. I think London is about London's about 130 miles from where I am now. So Nottingham, Mansfield is probably about 125, something like that. Okay. And Liverpool is probably, I can do Liverpool from here, and I'm in Whaley Bridge right now, which is between Buxton in Derbyshire and Stockport, which is it's more or less part of Manchester now. Mm-hmm. I can do it to Liverpool in about an hour and a half. So,
okay.
And it would take me to go driving from Mansfield. It would take me best part of 3 hours, but that's because of the difference in traffic, really, the distance.
Right. Ric, I got to ask you, what happened to the K in your name?
Well, my grandmother told me years ago. She said there is no K in Richard. So when you shorten it, it's all right.
Yeah.
Simple, isn't it?
Right. Well, I asked Rick Emmett of Triumph. I asked him the same thing, but he was actually he had a K in it, but he dropped it.
Yeah, it's weird. A lot of people still put a K on mine, which I must admit aggravates me a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
And at one time we had a really silly thing with press releases. It would say Rick with a K and Chick without a K, and Chick's always had a K, you know.
Right.
But I never did. So then you get that in press releases. I used to go crazy about that. Sort that out.
Right.
And currently, our PR man Chip is he keeps ending up with a one of those what's he called, automatic correctors on his computer, and he keeps sticking a K on there.
Just can't get away from it.
No, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of modern science, of course.
Right. Well, and Chip's a great guy.
He's clever. Yeah,
he's a great guy. But I'm gonna tell you right now, on mine computer, it's just RIC.
Oh, brilliant.
No
Good
K.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So when did you discover your interest in music?
Well, it's all in my book, of course. It's in a book I wrote called From Headstocks to Woodstock.
Right.
Just a brief scenario. My oldest brother, Peter, was always tapping on something, and he was a big music fan. I was 17 years younger than him, so you know, when he was at home, he was the first that I know of in the area actually to have a wind-up gramophone, on which we played 78s. I don't know if any of the folks will remember that on your side of the water, but you know, 78 was dangerously breakable. You had to be very careful with them because it was vinyl, but it was very brittle.
Right.
And you used to put them on the turntable and then lift up this really heavy metal arm, which had a sort of a in a sense, it was like a little speaker on it, and then the needle you had a very short, sharp needle that was screwed into this thing, and you gently lowered that onto the record, and it played it. And if you've heard any of those old recordings, that you know, they're crackling away like good ones because of all the dust and stuff that was in the grooves. I mean, you always wipe the record before you played it, but it didn't. We didn't have anti-static cloths in those days, for instance.
Right.
So this stuff would just sit there, and what you would get was, you know, all that sort of stuff going on. And you also had to keep winding the gramophone up because it ran on a spring, and so as it was spinning, the spring would be opening up, and the thing started to get slower. So you had to keep winding it up. But he was dead keen on that, and he used to buy these 78 records, which came in a big cardboard sleeve with just the label showing. And he bought 12th Street Rag, I remember, which is, I believe that was on the Brunswick label. I seem to remember the old Brunswick label with the black with the gold sort of shield around it. And then he what was the other one he bought? South Rampart Street Parade. And I think that was on the Columbia label, which in those days was blue and silver. And they were kind of, I think it's sort of New Orleans jazz flavor, you know, what we used to call later traditional jazz.
Right.
And there was a big boom of that in England at one time, right at the beginning of the sort of English rock and roll period. And then later, we graduated to more sort of pop things. So he bought, I remember #1 record, Guy Mitchell, She Wears Red Feathers and a Hula Hula Skirt, which was actually #1 in America and #1 in England at the same time, which was unheard of, you know.
Right.
And then we had Rosemary Clooney doing Green Door, and then what was her name? Small Brown Frame, and I can't think of the girl's name that recorded it. It'll come to me when I least need it. Okay. But those were the basic records we had, and then we used to tap along on Sunday lunchtimes. We had the radio on. There was a show called the Billy Cotton Band Show. Billy Cotton was a big band leader in those days, and he used to play all the hits of the day. Had some singers, you know, and we used to tap along on the table to it with either with knives and forks, or prior to that we used mum's knitting needles. But when we were doing the knife and fork thing, my old man used to go crazy. It was Sunday lunch we used to do that, you know. And he'd say, if you don't stop that, I'm turning it off. I can't stand him anyway, you know. So
right.
But that was the beginning of my sort of drumming. What would you call it? Well, my hankering for drumming, you know.
Right.
Yeah. And in fact, I think Pete would have been a better drummer than me. He had a very, very natural feel for it. When I later got a snare drum and a kit, and it was at home at one time, he sat on it, and he just had a real sort of flow to he didn't have any technique, you know, but he could sit there and knock out a rhythm, and the way he did it was just so smooth and effortless. I always thought, oh, this guy could be a better drummer than me, but I mean, I just slaved away at it, and
he didn't pursue it.
No, he became a bank manager.
Oh, he made some real money.
Yeah, there were three brothers. There was Pete. Then John was my second brother. He was a physiotherapist and went to live in Australia. And then there was me, and I was the rebel of the family. I didn't want to do what I was told. So
yeah,
there you go.
I can totally relate to that, Rick. Yeah, we've got something in common.
That sounds like we've got a lot in common.
yeah, we really do. So, were you a natural, or did you have to practice?
No, no, I wasn't a natural. No, and my mum took me to a local drummer that she knew that played with he played actually in a classical orchestra. There must have been a rehearsal. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was a classical rehearsal orchestra in Mansfield. I don't think they ever played any gigs, but they used to get together. It was all the people who, you know, could play flutes and violins and what have you. And this guy played the percussion. He played snare drum and timpani and all of that stuff. He did play kit, but you wouldn't have put him down as a kit drummer. Yeah. And anyway, mum took me to the shadow. If you're going to play the snare drum, if you're going to play the drum, because the first thing I got was just a snare drum. Right. So if you're going to play that, then you need to have lessons, and I'm going to take you. Anyway, she took me to see this guy, Harold, his name was, and I remember knocking on his door, and he answered the door, and she introduced herself and me, and she said, we'd like my son to have drum lessons with you. He said, okay, go away and come back in 6 months when you've learned the piano, and then I'll teach you drums. And to be honest with you, that was I think there was 2 regrets in my life, but that was one of my biggest regrets, which is that I didn't go and learn piano. And we did eventually persuade him to give me some drum lessons. And what he then did was took me to that rehearsal orchestra practice. And that's when I first started to learn to read a little bit of music and to get the idea of what drummers did, but albeit on a classical level.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the first piece. It was a piece of Beethoven. I can't remember the title. But the first thing we saw was 161 bars of rest, nothing to play. And I thought, God, are we going to count this? You know? And he said, no. He said, don't worry about that. He said, you see where we come in? You can see it was a timpani part, right? He said, you can see where we've got to play.
Right.
He said the timpani part, and he explained the notes to me and everything. And only 2 notes, because I think it was a very slow. I think it was a kind of a funeral march style thing. So it was just like boom, 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 you know. And so he said, there's a bar before we come in. Can you see? He said, and there's some notes written above the stave. So I said, yeah, I see those. He said, well, that's the flute part at that point. So he said, 2 things we do is, one is we watch the conductor, because they'll give us a cue 2 bars before we come in. They'll be pointing at us. Mm-hmm. And then we listen out for that little trill that the flute's going to do, and then we play. And so, I mean, even in the first week or so with him, I learned a heck of a lot in one go, you know. And he did let me have a go on the timps later. I got to the point where I could play that piece. I mean, they did the William Tell Overture, which is not the easiest of timpani parts. You're jumping from one timp to the other, you know.
Right.
There's a serious technique in that, and I don't know, I'm not sure to this day that I ever mastered it completely.
So
but
he
yeah,
wanted.
that was my background to it.
So he wanted you to learn piano, I guess, so you could read music.
I think that was part of it, yeah. And I also think it was for ear development. You know, for playing, he's thinking classical, snare drum, timpani. You know, I mean, in our area, we were one of the first of what they called rhythm groups. We weren't called rock groups in those days. You were called a rhythm group.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just after the Shadows had come along. You know, and Cliff Richard and the Shadows were the first sort of major rock act before the Beatles even. You know, and that's who everybody that started a rhythm group modeled themselves on. Not just us, I mean, all around the country. So
wow,
that's where we went from there.
So Mom was supportive. I mean, she took you to get a lesson. Was Dad as supportive?
Well, no, he was quite a bit older by then. You know, he apparently he'd been a lot more involved with my two older brothers. Sorry. You know, playing with them and playing football and stuff. But by the time I came along, I think he was, what age was he? Mum was 40, so he was probably, I think he was about 11 years older than her, so he was in his 50s, and he was working quite hard as well. He was at work every day of the week, travelling to work and back again. And he just used to come in and relax, basically. And so I wouldn't say we had a close relationship. Don't misunderstand me, he was very loving. And I loved him too, but he was not what you call close when we were in each other's presence. I mean, he was very good at maths, so if I needed any help with maths, he would help me. Or first one there, sort of thing, you know.
Right. But did he support your playing? Well,
he always thought it was a bit of a, what they called in those days, a bit of a fancy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll explain that in a minute. But Mum, yes, you're right. Mum was supportive, but both of them, we weren't that well off. And they said, well, if you want to play drums, I'd seen a snare drum in a shop in Mansfield with a stand, and it was £7, 10 shillings, which was, well, I'm trying to relate that in dollars. It was probably about $12, I guess, in those days. And she said, well, if you want it, you have to save money for it. You have to buy it. You know, we might buy you a pair of sticks, but you want the drum, you've got to pay for it. Which in a way was a bit of a challenge to see if I was serious.
Mm-hmm.
And in another way, it was because I didn't really have the money to spend on frivolities, as it were. So she then helped me again. She found out that the local butcher's shop used to have meat deliveries on a Saturday morning to all the houses locally. The people would pop in, and we didn't have the phones then, of course. So people would go into the shop and order the meat they wanted, and then it would be down to the delivery boy to deliver it on a Saturday morning, which I became the delivery boy. And
had a job.
A job, yeah. And I got 10 shillings a week, you know, which was what, I don't know, $1.50 a week or something.
Right.
And eventually I saved enough money, bought the drum, and they did get me a pair of sticks. And then I used to tap along as I did before to the radio. And then I started to have lessons with Harold, so I did a little bit of reading.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, there was a dance band in the area called Hardy Smith Orchestra, and they used to play for Saturday night dances, or the hop as we used to call them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started doing support spots. I've jumped on a bit, but we did support spots to this band locally, and their drummer was very good, a guy called Tommy Whittle. And he really could play kit. He was excellent. And I used to go to Tommy for lessons on a Saturday lunchtime. Mum used to take me down. We used to go on the bus. We didn't have a car. So I went on the bus down to Mansfield Woodhouse, excuse me, which was the next town across, which is now part of Mansfield. Mansfield is huge now. I can't believe it. But in those days, it was a separate town, you know, just a little market in the middle, which is a very popular market, by the way. And then Mansfield Woodhouse, which was like a satellite, if you like, of Mansfield. Mm-hmm. And we went down there on the bus to Tommy's, and we always got there at 1 o'clock, which is when the lesson was supposed to happen. And I think Tommy's wife you used to see the curtains move when you were walking up the path to the front door. So I think his wife was looking, you know. And it was unbelievable because he used to come in and he used to say, yeah, take a seat, I won't be a minute, I'm just going to have my lunch. And I think I almost felt that she waited until we were arriving and stuck his lunch on the table, you know.
Wow.
So,
How funny.
Days, you know, very good. But just about the fancy thing, many years later, my dad said to me, I think it was after we'd had our third album out, you know, and it was going in the charts.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, he said, well, look, he said, you've had your fancy. He said, so I think it's time now that you got your hair cut and did a proper job. So his feeling, obviously, all the way through that had been that this was a fancy of mine and it wasn't, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Something
It wasn't
serious.
a real job.
Yeah, and the other classic, which is at the same time with that, was I was going out of the house because I got a bit annoyed and I thought if I stay, I'm going to get angry. So I said, I'm sorry, I've got to go into town for something. So I went out. It was on one of my visits, you know, I wasn't living at home then. And this lady was coming and said, oh, Richard, she said, they always call me Richard locally, said, I've been talking to your father. He's just told me how well you're doing and your album's in the charts. So there's this whole sort of presentation to me, and he was obviously very proud, you know, alongside it.
Obviously.
But there's lots of little stories in the book that explain
yeah,
the lead up to that part, you know, and my relationship with my parents, yeah.
Right. So did they ever say, Richard, we support what you're doing, but can you play quieter?
Well, I think by the time I got noisy, I'd left home.
Oh, had you?
Yeah, I had at home. I had the kit that I used with the local band, but it very rarely set up. I had a practice kit, which is it's wooden. In those days, it was wooden circle and with a rubber. It was a rubber pad stuck on the top of it, and I had 4 of those. It was made actually by a local guy who started making them and tried to do it commercially. And it was a frame of metal with rods coming up, on which these pads, you screwed them round onto them, and there were the 4 of those. So I pretended one was a cymbal, the other was a snare, and so on. And there was also a vertical pad which you put the bass drum, you could play the bass drum pedal against. The only thing you didn't have was a hi-hat. And I think in the early days, somebody lent me just the pedal part of the hi-hat without the rest of it. And I just used to, you could hear it tapping, you know, as you push your foot down on it.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's what I had. But I did have the music quite loud. I had 2, I'll never forget, there were 10-inch elliptical speakers, little tiny things, each in the corner of the room, up at the top, near the ceiling. And I used to put my records on, and I had a dance set a record player, which we all had in those days, a multi-changer.
Right.
And I used to put the records on, and then they would drop, and as they started, then I would play along with those. And one of the ones I really tried to copy was Bobby Elliott, the Hollies drummer, playing on Stay, which is absolutely fantastic drumming. And I could never quite catch it, you know. He was too good for me. But I met him later, which was an honour. But yeah, so but my dad was out at work most of the time, so he wouldn't have heard that. He would have been the one who would complain that it was too loud. Mum just left me to it and got on with whatever she was doing in the kitchen, which was probably far enough away from the bedroom to be heard. That she'd hear it, but it wouldn't be that bad with the doors closed, I think.
Right.
We lived in a bungalow, and my bedroom was on one corner, and the kitchen was near the back of the house.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was only the loudness I got. I mean, they came to see us at the Albert Hall in Nottingham. There's an Albert Hall in Nottingham as well as in London, and we played there. And they're absolutely gobsmacked with it because I mean we went down the store and we got encores. You know, it was fantastic. I'm going home, always got the encores, and. And then Mum loved it. Oh, she said, I thought you were amazing. You know. And Dad said, yeah, it's very good, but too loud.
Of course.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed because I expected it.
Yeah, right. Right. That sounds like a typical father kind of thing.
Oh, he's the funny guy though. He would never want anybody to interrupt a mealtime. So one day we were having lunch. It was just him and me and Mum, and the doorbell rang. And as you went down you went out of the kitchen, turned left, and then the hallway did a left to the front door. So it's like an L shape. And on the corner of that L shape was a cupboard, which you could hang, which you hung the coats in when you came on off the street. You opened the door, hung close, and it had a door actually on the other side, which you could get at stuff from the kitchen. It's quite a good idea. So anyway, the doorbell rang. So Dad said, "I'll get it." I thought, well, that's strange. He normally ignored it. For some reason, he didn't. So what he did was he opened the door to this cupboard in the hallway, and he put his overcoat on, and he got his trilby hat. He used to wear a trilby hat. And he went to the door, and he opened the door, and he just started putting his hat on. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. We're just about to go out. We'll have to see you later." And the person on the other side went, "Oh, okay, fine." And he shut the door and came back for his lunch.
Wow. Well, he was serious about that meal, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, it was just one of his things that you didn't disturb anybody at lunchtime.
Wow, yeah, that is really funny.
Yeah.
So your first band was the Falcons. You also played.
That was the school thing. Just a couple of guys. We only played like a couple of rehearsals, I think.
Oh, the Falcons.
Yeah.
Okay.
We never did any gigs or anything. Not even. I think we maybe did a school dance, maybe. But I mean, we didn't really know any songs, And
right.
To be honest, the two guys didn't really have much of an idea, in my opinion, of what they were trying to do. So.
But it was your first band.
Well, yes.
You can't get away from that.
Well, maybe band was an overstatement.
Yeah.
No, the first real band I got in was Ricky Storm and the Stormcats.
Right.
And that was through a how did that? Oh yeah.
Wait a minute, Rick. I thought that was Ricky Storm and the Mansfields.
No, that was later.
Oh, okay.
No, there was never a Ricky Storm and the Mansfields. There was the Mansfields, but Ricky Storm and the Stormcats was. Sorry, Ricky Storm and the Tornadoes. You're right. You corrected me there, but with the wrong band.
Okay.
So it's Ricky Storm and the Tornadoes. And we had a singer, Jeff Bradbury. We had a guitarist, Stu Lane, rhythm guitarist, Keith Williams. Who was the bass player, Mick Wilson, and then me on drums. And the idea of that was that we did, the first thing we learned was Walk, Don't Run. And I'd met Stu through, my mum knew Stu's mum, and that's how I met Stu, and Stu invited me to play drums with the band. And he and Keith were at the same school together, so that was good. And Jeff Bradbury was a neighbour of Stu's, so it was, and Jeff and Mick Wilson, the bass player, were both at the same school in Mansfield as well. Different to Stu and Keith, but, and I was at a different school to any of them. They kept me out. Well, I think it was called Borstal. No, I'm kidding. Wait. Yeah, so the band. So there's Ricky Storm and the Tornadoes, yeah. And we started rehearsing in this church hall opposite where Stu lived, in a place called Rainworth. And then, I've got one from Chip. And then, sorry folks. The first song we learned, I'll never forget, was The Ventures, Walk, Don't Run. And then we started doing, Jeff was a big fan of Jerry Lee Lewis, so we did a whole lot of shaking.
Oh, yeah.
We did 25 Rock, Eddie Cochran. Oh, God, I can't remember them all now.
Some good
so,
stuff.
Yeah, so they were the things. And then, of course, we started doing Cliff Richard and the Shadows stuff, because that was getting very popular. I actually, one time, Jeff wanted to do Say Mama, the Gene Vincent thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd seen Gene Vincent, and I decided, I said, well, you could play drums on this, and I'll sing it. So I did, and I did the stance because Gene had had a motorcycle accident and he'd had polio as a boy. He used to stand with one of his legs, I can't remember which, either his right or left, obviously, stretched out behind him with the microphone pushed in front of him. And I figured out how to do that. And he also did some tricks with the mic where he used to swing the microphone up in the air, and then other times he would swing his leg over the mic. And all those sort of things. And I'm pretty sure Rod Stewart must have seen him too, because Rod does all of that stuff. Right. So, anyway, so I swapped, and we did Say Mama. Say Mama, won't you go out tonight? Say Mama, will it be all right? Yeah, we did that. All that sort of stuff. Then Jeff left to go to university. So we got in, and sorry, Mick went first. He went to university first. Then Jeff did. And then we got in a guy called Mick Hodgkinson, who played bass and sang. Mick was a multi-instrumentalist who played saxophone, keyboards, sang, played bass, so on and so forth. And we then changed our names. We'd had to change our name to Ricky Storm and the Stormcats, because there was a band called the Tornadoes who had a #1 record with Telstar. And in those days, if you tried to use the same name, you'd get sued. So we weren't going to get sued. So we became Ricky Storm and the Stormcats. And then when Jeff left, we became just the Stormcats. And then later, a lot of bands started taking the name of their town. I can't remember some of the others, but there were lots of the whatevers, you know. And so we became the Mansfields. And then we traded under that for about a year and a half, and then I left and joined the Jaybirds, which was Alvin Lee and Leo Lyons.
And that was what, in about 1965?
Yeah, bang on. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, I turned professional in '64 with the Stormcats.
Right.
That's the Mansfields, beg your pardon. So in '64, turned professional with the Mansfields, because we were all working in the civil service up to that point. But we got fed up with getting up at 7:30, catching a bus at 7:30 in the morning to go to Nottingham, getting picked up in the van at 5:30 with whoever was driving the van those days, off to a gig, and then back in any time from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning, and then getting up and going to work again, you know. And it became quite tedious, and also we were just absolutely knackered, you know, because we were working 5 nights a week plus weekends. So we were working 7 nights a week, essentially. And it was good days, you know. And we made a lot of money. We paid off our bear in mind, we're only getting £5 or £7.10 for the gigs. You know, but that was per night. So to compare that to the civil service, we were getting £7.10 shillings a week.
Right.
It was a heck of a difference. So we ended up paying ourselves £15 a week, which is twice as much we get in the civil service. And that was after we paid all our equipment. You know, we paid hire purchase for the drum kit, the amplifiers, the van, everything. So we were in good shape when we turned pro. And then I did an audition with the Jaybirds, and they wanted me to join them. And I always figured that Alvin Lee was going to crack it. He just had so much talent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Although they'd been to London a few times, he and Leo, to try and make it, and both times they'd had to come back because they ended up starving, you know. So they came back to Nottingham and worked the local gigs and stuff.
Right. So I guess the Jaybirds go to London, and how was that decision made?
Well, there was our local agent then. He got an offer from an agent friend of his in London. There was a guy called Frank Donald, who was a theatre director, and Frank wanted to. They were doing Saturday Night and Sunday Morning, which is written by Alan Silito, and it was one of the first what they had called in England kitchen sink dramas. It was the story of a guy who worked at the Raleigh cycle factory in Nottingham, bicycle factory that is, and he was a bit of a lad, you know, and he was always having affairs with the married women in the area and the whole thing. This was really the first time anybody has shone the spotlight on that sort of thing in society. So it's quite a groundbreaking novel. and they made a film out of it, and that was a groundbreaking film as well. Albert Finney was the star of the film. And then Frank decided he wanted to do a sort of musical version of it, which was a bit bizarre, but there you go. Anyway, we auditioned for the show and we got it. And then we stayed, it was supposed to run for 2 years, it lasted 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And one of the things we were asked to do was to go and do one of the first late night chat shows was on London television. We had regional TV in those days. So the independent side of TV, BBC was the government side of it, and then they had independent channels, excuse me, called independent television, and they had London weekend television in London. I can't remember what the daytime one was, the weekday one was, and then there was ATV, Associated Television, which is in the Birmingham area, and so on. So that all sort of major cities had their own TV stations, essentially. And then so we were asked to go on this show on London television to try and promote the show, because the ticket sales were really poor. So we played on that. And this agent saw us. And he sent a telegram to the stage door. The next day we went in, as a telegram saying, "Please come and see me. I have some exciting prospects." We thought, "Oh, this is it. We've cracked it." You know, this guy was the agent for Donovan, the folk singer, and for Julie Felix, who was pretty big in those days.
Yeah,
she'd been a boyfriend of David Frost, Sir David Frost, as he became.
Yeah.
So we went along. Leo and I went to. Alvin never went to those sort of things. So Leo and I went along to. We were sort of the business end of it, and we saw this guy, Ozzie Newman, his name was, and he's sitting there behind this big desk with the big cigar, you know, proper showbiz agent thing. And he said, anyway, it took him forever to get on. I'm thinking, come on, tell us why you asked. Do you want to make us big? Let's hear it, you know.
Right.
It turned out he wanted a backing group for one of the acts that he was the agent for, which is a group called the Ivy League. And they'd had about 3 hits by then. They had Funny How Love Can Be, Tossing and Turning, and I can't remember what the other one was. Tossing and Turning, I think, was #1 record. And they needed a new backing band. So we did an audition for them at the theatre, because our gear was still set up at the theatre, because the show hadn't completely closed down at that point. And they asked us to work with them. So we were with them for 18 months. And then we were out of work again, nothing happening.
Now, did Chick Churchill, did he join the band before or after you moved to London?
No. Chick Churchill, Alvin wanted him to join us before we left for London.
Okay.
But we did the audition as a 3-piece. I can't remember quite why we did it as a 3-piece. I don't think Chick had actually joined us as such, but he'd been asked to join us. And then we got the show, and we told him that he'd have to wait until we'd done the show before we could pull him into the band.
Right.
But what we did was we actually got him in as road manager when we were working with the Ivy League. That was it. And then he ended up playing a bit of keyboards with them as well. So,
gotcha.
and there's some funny stories about that, which I won't say now, but they're in the book.
Okay. All right. Little teaser there for the book. So in '68, I know you guys auditioned at the Marquee Club, and
well, prior to that, we just quite important. We auditioned for a guy called Chris Wright in Manchester. Who was working for an agency up there, and he didn't actually want to sign us. He again wanted us as a backing band for a blues singer he had, and we said, well, we've done the backing bit. We're not doing that. We want to do our own thing now. And anyway, we've got an audition at the Marquee Club. So we're going to see how, if that doesn't work out, then we'll get in touch with you, and maybe we'll do the gig you want us for, you know.
Right.
That's in a nutshell. So we, Chris's partner in the club he had up there, where we did the audition for him, said, I think this band's terrific. They're going to, you know, and he offered us some summer work. We had no summer work, so we said, yeah, we'd do it. We never did, but that's by the by. But anyway, we went and did the audition at the Marquee. We got it. John G, the manager, said, right, I'm going to give you the support spot on a Sunday, and you do what's called the interval spot, because they used to have two break. You know, the main band would do like an hour, and then there'd be a half an hour break or whatever, and then they do the second hour, and we were given the interval spot, and we went down an absolute storm. And Chris Wright actually came down to that, and then decided he would manage us. For that show, we were called the Blues Yard. I think it was the only one where we were called the Blues Yard. And then we went to then Chris said, "But you need a better name." So we ended up with 10 Years After, which was rather good.
Now, I'm going to ask you about the name, but I just think it's amazing that, you know, you talk about auditioning at the Marquee Club like it was like you drive to the grocery store to buy some bread. But this is the club. This is the club where band residencies during at least the late 60s included the Rolling Stones, the Yardbirds, Led Zeppelin, the Who, King Crimson, Yes, Jethro Tull.
Hang on a minute. You're ahead of yourself there, Lil. The Rolling Stones were brought into the Marquee Club by Alexis Corner. Alexis Corner was what I call the granddaddy of British blues. And Alexis was playing with a guy called Cyril Davis, and they had the Cyril Davis All-Stars. Cyril Davis was an amazing harmonica player. So, and then I think Alexis saw the Rolling Stones at some gig in Surrey somewhere. My memory's failing me at the minute. And then he asked them to be the support band to him at the Marquee Club. And then what happened was the Stones, he actually fired the Stones because the Stones were becoming more popular than he. Although he stayed big friends with them for many years, and he did help them along the way a lot. And he was very friendly with Brian Jones. And at that time, it was actually Brian Jones's band, really, you know. So that's how the Stones started there. But they were fired, and I think they then set up a residency at the Ricky Tick. Somebody will have this written down somewhere. Or the Crawdaddy, I think they played at as well. They were both gigs in South London. Not South London, sorry, in Surrey, I should say. So, yeah, who else? Yeah, so we started doing a regular support. Then they gave us a blues night on a Friday. We did every other week on a Friday. Not every week, but twice a month on a Friday. We had other people supporting us. One of which was a band called Sin, which was the forerunner of Yes. And there were several others. But the other act you're talking about, Tull, I think, started in a similar way to us because they were managed by Chris Wright and Terry Ellis. So I think they got into the Marquee Club, you know, on the same auspices as we had, in a sense.
What about Zeppelin?
Zeppelin, I don't think played the Marquee until quite a bit later.
Okay.
I stand corrected on that.
The Yardbirds probably did.
Again, I'm not sure the Yardbirds. I think the Yardbirds, again, was like the Crawdaddy or the Ricky Tick in Surrey. I'm pretty sure, but again, I stand corrected. But what they then did was Tuesday night became the Star Night, and people like Jeff Beck played that. Jimi Hendrix played it. I think the Who did a Tuesday night, you know. But at that time, they were much bigger than we were. We were still working our way up.
Right.
And they toured America and stuff like that, you know. And Beck, of course, had done a lot of work with the Yardbirds, as did Jimmy Page. So.
Right. Guys, you are watching Barside Jive with my guest, Ric Lee, best known as the drummer of the English blues rock band 10 Years After. All right, Rick, so in 1969, you guys played Max Yasgur's farm in Bethel, New York, at a place now known worldwide as Woodstock.
Yep.
How did that happen?
Well, it nearly didn't. Chris Wright was getting phone calls from Frank Barcelona, our agent, saying, you know, this show, you've got to do this show. They're expecting 55,000 people, you know, so it's going to be big. That was the understatement.
55,000? Yeah, right.
That's what they anticipated.
Right.
So he said, I think you should do this. You know, he said, he named a few acts that were on it, and Chris said, well, what are they offering? You know, typical manager, what's the money? So he said, he told him what it was, and he said, well, that's crazy. He said, because we're playing auditoria now, and we can do, on our own, we can do about 3,000 people. And if we're with somebody else, like we did gigs with Mothers of Invention and people like that, we're playing to 5,000 people, and we're getting much better money than they're offering us to do this cockapitsy place up in upstate New York. It's a field. What's that about?
Yeah.
So, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you can imagine the conversation.
Right.
So anyway, weeks go by, and in the press, things are starting to hot up a bit. You can tell that there's something going on, and more acts are getting added. And finally, Barcelona picks the phone up and does his last shot at Chris. He says, "You're going to be crazy not to do this." He said, Jefferson Airplane had just signed it. The Grateful Dead have signed for it. Janis has signed it. And finally, The Who have done it. And finally, Jimi Hendrix is doing it. You've got to be crazy not to do this.
Right.
50,000 people, and with that lineup, it's going to be amazing. So we agreed to do it. And I believe, I think Chris sold us alongside of Jeff Beck, sold us as a package. Not Chris, sorry, Frank Barcelona, sold us as a package to the festival. And I think it was $18,000. There's all sorts of stuff been bandied about. But my recollection is it was $18,000, of which Jeff, I'm sure, would have got 12, and we would have got 8. And that 8 actually was more than we were getting in the auditorium at the end of the day. But, I think that was Chris negotiating, And he played his cards right, but thank God we did it,
Well, yeah, because you got exposed to 300,000 to 500,000 people.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, that was huge.
Oh, yeah. And also the most important thing was the film afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
That put us on the world stage, definitely.
Yeah.
But you want to know a bit more about Woodstock, I guess.
You guys, and you had a great set list.
Yeah, and it's coming out it's coming out this year. I don't think it's been out before, but there's an album coming out which Chrysalis are doing, because they got all the rights back now. And there's the original 6, I think it is, or 7 tracks on there that we played, because there's only ever been I'm Going Home. So that'll be and I've heard it actually. It sounds really good. It's been mixed really well
on vinyl.
Yeah. I believe they're going to do vinyl. I'm not 100% certain yet, but I would imagine they will. Yeah. Good. And I imagine I think they've had a request for a special vinyl for the States.
Good.
That's not as much as I know at the moment, but I'll get more news as it filters through.
Yeah. Well, that'll be great. We'll watch for it.
Yeah.
The Hobbit.
Yes, sir.
That's quite a beating, isn't it?
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. Yeah. Actually, the record I like most of all is the Live at the Fillmore East that I found languishing in the cellars at EMI. There was a reason for that, though, is because we were plugging Cricklewood Green at the time that we did Woodstock. Yeah, and we did the Fillmore East before we did Woodstock.
Right.
But so that's why it didn't come out at the time. It was put away because Cricklewood Green was what they were promoting. They were plugging that. So there you go. But I think the band, the nadir of the band was Live at the Fillmore East. I just think the playing on it is if I dare say this about myself, superb. And I love the interplay that Alvin and I had at that time. Was just really, really good. And it's what I try and achieve now with Marcus, with our new guitar player, Marcus Bonfanti, and Colin Hodgkinson, the bass player, and Chick. And we try and have that, if you like, spirit of what the band was back with Alvin.
Right. So did you come up with the name, The Hobbit?
I did actually. Prior to that, I was playing a thing called, it was Summertime. Alvin came up with the idea of doing Summertime, the George Gershwin track.
Right.
And then the solo part of it was called Shantung Cabbage, which came God knows where it came from. There was some kind of book I was reading. I think I'd seen it in there. And The Hobbit was the same because I'd been listening. We had at school we had the Tolkien stuff on radio.
Oh,
as
okay.
part of our, in a sense, literary and history lessons. And we used to listen to it performed on the radio. It was fantastic stuff. The BBC used to do it, broadcast for schools, which they're now doing again under lockdown. And it was fantastic. I used to love those lessons, you know, and that's where I picked up on Tolkien and Lord of the Rings and all of that. And obviously The Hobbit was a great sounding name, so that's where it came from.
Wow. So you chose that.
I did indeed, yeah.
So did Alvin, was it just your idea to have a drum solo, or did Alvin?
No, when we were at the Marquee Club, after about the third gig there, Alvin said, "You've got to do a drum solo, mate. Everybody else is doing so. You've got to do a drum solo." Jesus, what am I going to do? You know, so I worked with the previous drummer. He'd become my mentor, a guy called Dave Quickmeyer, was playing with Alvin and Leo, and I took over from him. And he was my mentor. I had lessons with Dave, and he really did mentor me. He introduced me to people like Joe Morello and Art Blakey, who else? Alvin Stoller, you know, all those drummers. I already knew Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa. I'd bought an album of theirs on vinyl before I met Dave. But he was instrumental in getting me a much wider appreciation of drummers and music, basically.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. What was the question?
We were talking about.
Oh yeah, having to do the solo. So
Alvin asked you.
Yeah. So Dave and I had done what do you call it? A duet one night. We played a concert together, the Mansfields and the Jaybirds. And Dave said, "We've got to do this duet." So he ran me around the basics of it, and so in unison we did a double beat roll thing around the kick, do that, and we did that in unison. And then we changed it, and then we played some swing stuff, and then we did some breaks, exchanged 4 bars each or 8 bars or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was opening a gig actually in Mansfield that we did, and it was fantastic. So I just remembered when I had to do this solo, I thought, oh hell, I know, I'll start it with that, you know. So I went back and used that. It was a bit of a crib from what Dave had done, you know. And then Alvin came up with the idea of sticking Summertime over the top of that. Because he said, "Have you got that solo together yet?" So I said, "Well, yeah, I'm going to do this." He said, "Oh, I've got to have something else. Hang on a minute." And I went, you know.
Right.
And then we went into the swing part of it as well. And then I used to start the solo on a swing field, doing like little left-hand independent things and bass drum stuff, and then built it out from there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it works.
10 years after.
Barside Jive shall not be responsible for any incorrect or inaccurate information caused by this broadcast. Barside Jive does assume, however, all responsibility for the satirical nature of its content and for the occasional fictional nature of its content. All characters appearing in this broadcast, even those based on real people, except for our featured guests, of course, are entirely fictional, and any resemblance between them and any persons living dead or undead is purely a miracle.
Yeah.